Hey everyone, welcome back to another mining chamber video. In today's video, we are going to be doing another GPU review. This time we will be reviewing the Sapphire Nitro Plus RX 5700 XT. In last video, we reviewed the RX 580, so this time we will do the same for the 5700 XT. We will cover the BIOS modding, overclocking, and then everything you need to know from between the 5700 XT and the non-XT, and the pricing and whether you should buy this card or not. So this is not a financial advice, it's just our opinion on this card for mining. We do think it's a great card, so watch through the video so you can decide on your own as well. And if we do miss out on anything, please let us know in the comment section below. Welcome everyone to our second GPU review in our hardware review series. Today we will be reviewing the 5700 XT, the Nitro Plus model. We will be installing the GPU in our test bench, but this time we won't be connecting the HDMI to the GPU like we did in our last review once we covered the RX 580. Like that, we will make sure that the GPU is giving its full potential to mining instead of also having to display on the screen as well. This series will also have an article written up on our website miningchamber.com, so if you do want to review some specific parts, please feel free to visit it there. We will also have the overclock settings uploaded to our website as well. The links will be in the descriptions below. Okay guys, so the first thing we usually do is we cover the pricing of the 5700 XT, and we talk about the availability and how hard is it to get them now and whether you should buy it or not. So the 5700 XT comes at $380 to $420 with tax, so it's not a bad price range for the hash rate you get from it. And then there are some models that we recommend getting and some models that you should stay away from. If you are in Red Panda Mining Discord, you'll notice that a lot of people talk about it. There's a lot of knowledgeable people about the 5700 XT and the non-XT edition there, and out of all the testing, it seems that the XFX 5700 XT thick edition is pretty good for cooling, and as well as the Power Color Red Devil and also the Sapphire Pulse and Nitro. Those are ones that I recommend. I do recommend to stay away from the Evoke one and also the Asus Dual, and as well as the MSI Mech OC. So if you do decide to go with the 5700, make sure you get one of these models right here, one of those 4 models. If you do decide to get the XFX 5700 XT, you can watch Hashrate's video when he reviewed it and went through overclocking the GPU. And as for the Power Color Red Devil, Red Panda Mining did review this one as well. And now what we're going to be reviewing in this video is the Sapphire Nitro Plus RX 5700 XT. So we will link the videos from Red Panda Mining and Hashrate in the descriptions below, so feel free to check these out if you do need additional information that can help you out. They did a really good job in covering them, and they also helped us be able to make this video, so we definitely recommend checking them out. So now when you want to buy these GPUs, we do recommend getting the XT model instead of the non-XT. The non-XT model stopped being produced, so you will find them at the same price point as the XT version. So it's better to just go with the XT and just get the models that we promoted and avoid the ones that we say to avoid, for example the Evoke and the Asus one as well. And you can also buy these cards, they're almost available everywhere, so you can find them on Newegg or Amazon, and just try to keep your eyes up for some promotions, and then you can go to eBay as well and find some used deals over there. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to figure out how profitable the 5700 XT is. So we went ahead and visited whattomine.com, and then once you're in whattomine.com, you can go ahead and see from the list of GPUs that are provided, you'll find the 5700 XT. And since we're just calculating for one GPU, so we're going to put 1, and now you click on the 5700 XT, and you'll see here it will load up all the specs that you can expect from it. So all the hash rates for Ethash, Zhash, and all the other algorithms that you can mine with the 5700 XT. And since we're only going to focus on the Ethash algorithm because it is the most profitable for AMD in general, we're just going to fix these values because we know that we can get better values than these, and then we are going to calculate the profits. So for the hash rate, we know for a fact that we can get up to 58 hash rate with the 5700 XT, but just for now we're going to put 55 as in the efficient settings that we will provide later. And then for the watts per GPU, we were able to get it to 90 watts per GPU with 55 mega hash. So this is just the GPU on the software, it's not off the wall. So if you want to calculate off the wall as well, you should get one of those meters that you plug into the wall and you plug into the mining rig as well, and then you get how much exact watts that your mining rig is using. So now just calculating it this way, we will see here if we go ahead and change the cost of the per kilowatt hour. So this is the electricity cost. We can go ahead and change it to 10 cents since it is the average. And then we can hit calculate, and now down here we will see it will refresh in a second. After it refreshes, it will give you all the profitable coins that you can mine with the 5700 XT. So the top option is Ethereum Classic. As you can see here, we are going to be able to make $2 per day on Ethereum Classic without electricity costs. And then after electricity costs, it will be $1.79. So in a month, you can make about $60 with just one of these GPUs. And then if you deduct the electricity costs, you'll have around $60 to $55. So you can usually visit the site if you want to figure out which coin you should mine with your GPU. Just put in your GPU here and figure out the stats that you have for your algorithm. So now that we know that Ethereum Classic is the coin that we will be mining, you also have a backup plan. If Ethereum Classic becomes not that profitable, just come back here and check here and see you can try Ethereum or Raven coin. It's all up to you, whichever coin works best for you at the time of your watching this video. These prices change very often, so if a coin becomes way more profitable than the other one, and if you're planning to sell the crypto that you mined at the end of every week or every month, then I recommend just checking here and figuring out which coin will be the most profitable for you to mine, and then just mine that coin and sell it into fiat or sell it into a different cryptocurrency. Okay guys, so before we start BIOS modding and overclocking the GPU, the first thing we want to do is we want to download the latest drivers. So go to AMD driver support and then download the 20.4.2 version because it is the recommended one, while the 20.8.2 is still optional. So please make sure you get the 20.4.2 version, and then after that make sure that you install Red BIOS editor and MorePowerTool. So we will leave the link of all these in the descriptions below. But once you open up the Igor's Lab website, you want to scroll all the way down, and then once you're down here you'll find MorePowerTool, so just go ahead and download that one. And then Red BIOS editor, you can download this one as well. And finally you want to download the Flash tool 3.04 plus Windows. So this one is a little bit misleading, so if you click on it, you'll notice it will take you to a site ahead that contains a harmful program. Just hit on details and then visit the site. Don't worry about it, there is no virus, so you can just go ahead and continue and install the application from tinyupload.com. You just want to click on Amdvbflash windows.zip and then it will install to your computer. Now finally, for the Amdvbflash one, make sure that you have WinRAR installed. So go ahead and click on it, extract, and for this one you can extract it anywhere you want. It is easier to extract it in your C drive and work with it from there, but for now we're just going to extract it in the desktop and create a folder named Flash for it. So this will be an empty folder named Flash in our desktop, and then we are going to extract the files there. You can do it this way as well, so you can follow through the guide, or you can do it the other way and leave it in the C drive if you know your way around the command prompt, since we will be using it later on. Now after installing all these applications, we have Red BIOS editor, we have MorePowerTool, and then we have the Amdvbflash in the Flash folder. You just want to go ahead and run the inst tool from Amdvbflash, and then that will install the required binaries and it will be super quick. Now that we have every application installed and set up, we can move on and start modding our BIOS. So the first thing we want to do when BIOS modding is to save our original BIOS, the one that we didn't modify at all, as a backup. So in case you break your card, you can just go back to it and flash it on a different computer or any other different device that you have. So now we're going to go ahead and open up Amdvbflash in command prompt and go ahead and save the BIOS from there. So to open up Amdvbflash, you'll notice here once we open the Flash folder, it doesn't really have an application that you can just run and open it from there. but instead you just need to go ahead and open command prompt as an administrator. So click run as an administrator, and then once you run it as an administrator, you want to find your path to the flash folder or wherever you installed your Amdvbflash file. So since we have it in our desktop, and here you can see it says C Windows System 32, we want to navigate, make sure that we're in the desktop directory, or more so the flash directory, so then we can use the Amdvbflash tool from the command prompt itself. So to do that, we are going to go ahead and hit properties on Amdvbflash. We will copy the path of the file, and then we'll go back to command prompt, and this time we'll do cd, which stands for change directory, and then paste in the path for the file. And now you can go ahead and hit enter, and you will notice it will put you in that folder. So now that we're in the mining chamber /desktop/flash folder, we can go ahead and start using the Amdvbflash from the command line. So the first command you want to run, and this command doesn't do anything, it just lists basically the graphic cards that are plugged into the computer. So if I go ahead and do Amdvbflash-I, what that does is just lists all the graphic cards that we have plugged in, and as you can see here, adapter number 0, it's plugged in with a Navi 10, which is the 5700 XT. And we do recommend just running one graphic cards at a time to BIOS mod them. Don't put multiple graphic cards, it will get complicated and will be harder. But if you do have the same model, you can try to do that. But we still recommend just doing one at a time to stay safe. So now the first thing we said to do is to save the original BIOS, and to do that you just want to go ahead and type in Amdvbflash and then -s, which is save, and the adapter number for the GPU. So in this case it is 0, so you want to go ahead and do 0, and after that you want to put the name of the BIOS, so it will be saved as the name that you will enter now. So in our case we are going to save it as stock, and we are using a 5700 XT Nitro Plus model, so we will say 5700 XT _ Nitro Plus, and then .rom. So make sure that you include .rom at the end, and for your model just put your model name and the type of the card. Try to avoid including any spaces in the name that you want to save it as, but if you do want to include spaces, just make sure that you add quotation marks in the beginning and the end of the name. But since we don't have any spaces, we're not going to put the quotation marks. So now you can go ahead and hit enter. And as you can see here, after you hit enter, it will tell you it's saved, and you can go back to your folder and you'll find stock 5700 XT Nitro Plus. So now you've successfully saved your stock BIOS. You want to try to keep this safe in case you ever want to resell the cards or anything like that. Just make sure that you put this on a USB stick, save it somewhere safe, and then you can just use it later on whenever you need it, or whenever the card goes bricked or anything like that, you can try to recover it using the old BIOS. So now that you saved your BIOS, you can go ahead and minimize the command prompt since you will need it later on. And then you can just go ahead and start opening your Red BIOS editor, just run it as an administrator, and we will move on to the next step. So now after opening Red BIOS editor, you want to go ahead and load the BIOS that you just saved. So hit on the load button and then navigate to the BIOS that you saved and double click on that. And then after you open it up, you will see that here it's selected the GPU ID for you, which is 5700 XT. Make sure that the right values are selected. You don't need to touch anything in the first page, but you want to go to your VRAM timings, and then in the VRAM timings we will do some changes here. Some cards have 2 memory types while others have 1. And if you have only one memory type, you'll just need to do it for the first page, but if you have 2 memory types, then you will need to follow this video through the first step and the second step. So now let's go ahead and start with the changes. So what you want to do is you want to copy the timings for the 1550 MHz field, and to do that you can either just scroll through it with your mouse and then hit copy with your mouse, or you can just do Ctrl A to select everything and then Ctrl C to copy and move on to the next field. So we're going to copy it from 1550 and paste it to the 1800 to 2000 and to 2250. So to paste it, we just click on it and then hit Ctrl A again and then Ctrl V. Of course, you can just copy paste with whichever way that's comfortable for you. Just make sure that you're actually getting rid of the entire string that's in here before you do paste anything else. And after you finish copying it to the different fields, you want to go ahead and save the BIOS. And now when you want to save it this time, just change the stock to mod, And then you have your modded BIOS 5700 XT Nitro Plus. So now I can go ahead and save that. And since we have two memory types, I will need to do this again to the MT6 memory type. So to do that, I'll just go ahead and load the modded one and go to the VRAM timings again. And now you'll see here the first memory type is completely fine. All the values are copied to the next one. And now we go on to the next field and we're going to copy the 1550 to the lower fields as well. So 1550 to 1750, 1800 and below. So now that we copied this one as well, we can go ahead and save the BIOS. So we're just going to replace the one that we already saved, and all you need to do is just select it and then hit save. So like that, you have the two memory timings updated once you load that BIOS. So to confirm it, you can just go ahead and load it. And then you'll notice here when you go to VRAM timings, the first memory type is completely fine and the second memory type is also completely fine. And now the next step we want to do is we want to go to the Power Play tab. So the Power Play tab is what's going to be loaded from the MorePowerTool. And now we're going to guide you through the MorePowerTool and tell you what it will help you with. So now for MorePowerTool, the reason that we want to use it is because it helps unlock restrictions for your GPU. So for example, if you go to your AMD Wattman software, you'll notice here that your max frequency for your memory, you can't push it further than 1900, so it's just capped at 1900. And so is your voltage at 750. You can't go lower than 750, so it's capped on that value. And what MorePowerTool will help us do is it will help us push the voltage a little bit lower and also unlock further frequency for the memory. But we're not going to be pushing our card more than 1900 since it does become unstable. But Hashrate was able to push it further than 1900, so if you guys want to check that out, please go ahead. The link will be in the descriptions below. So now let's get back to the MorePowerTool. So first thing you want to do is you want to run it as an administrator. And then after you open it up, you'll see like a tool that's basically empty until you select the GPU. So you want to go ahead and click on the bar on the top, and then you want to select the RX 5700 XT. For some reason, it's showing us two options. So it's bugged or something, but for most of the time, you'll only see just one option. So once you go ahead and select that, you want to load the BIOS that you just saved, the modded one. So if we go back to our flash and then we find our modded BIOS, we just go ahead and click on that and load it into the tool. And now after you load it into the tool, you'll notice here there's a bunch of settings you can uncheck and unlock and stuff like that, but you don't need to worry about any of this. We're just going to go straight to the point and not change a lot of stuff around. So the first thing you want to change is you want to go ahead and go to your power and voltage, and you want to reduce the 750 to 725. So what that does is instead of being capped at 750, we will be able to go down to 725. And you want to do that for the minimum voltage GFX and the minimum voltage SoC. Now after you do that, you can also change the power limit of the GPU to 180. So that basically limits the GPU to not take more than 180 watts. And then the other thing for the memory frequency and the core clock frequency, you can manipulate those from here. So here it says 950. And if you change the 950 to 1000, you'll be able to push this to 2000. But since we said we're not going to be doing it for the card since it keeps crashing a lot, we'll just avoid doing this and only focus on the minimum voltage. So now after you finish that, you want to make sure that you click on save. Don't click on delete or write, just click on save. And after you hit on save, you want to save it anywhere you want, but we're just going to save it on the desktop for now. So we'll name this our MPT optimization. And after you go ahead and save that, you'll see here you'll have the file in your desktop, MPT optimization. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use Red BIOS editor, and we will load the BIOS that we recently modded. And now we'll go to the Power Play tab and do load MPT file. So with load MPT file, you'll just go ahead and navigate to the file and then double click on it, and you'll see here it says successfully loaded. So now you can go ahead and save the BIOS again, and you can just overwrite the one that you currently have. So just overwrite the mod 5700 XT and hit save on it, and now you have your fully modded BIOS ready to be flashed on your GPU. So now that we have our BIOS ready to be flashed, we want to go ahead and open up our command prompt. So we minimized it before, so now you just have to bring it back up. Now we will have to just run two more commands. The first command is Amdvbflash, and then you want to do -unlock ROM, and then you want to do 0 for the adapter number of the GPU you want to do it to, and hit enter. So what that does, it just unlocks the ROM so you can flash it. And then now the second thing you want to do is you want to flash the BIOS. So just be very careful with everything we did so far. Try to not mess with a lot of things because this is dangerous. It can break your GPU, so please be careful. So the next command to flash the BIOS is going to be Amdvbflash -p to flash, and then 0 for the adapter number, which is the GPU that we're selecting. And then you want to put the image of the BIOS that we modded. So since it's in the same folder here, all we need to do is just type in M and then hit the tab key, and it will automatically fill it in for you. Or you can just type it all out and then have the name here, and after that you can hit enter, and you'll see it will automatically flashes your BIOS, and it will tell you to restart the computer. Perfect. So now after it tells you to restart the system to complete the BIOS update, you know that you successfully done it. So hopefully when you restart, you can still see your display and everything. I do recommend through all this, make sure that the HDMI is plugged to the motherboard instead of the GPU itself. It will make life easier. So now you successfully updated the BIOS, we are going to go ahead and restart the computer and then get into overclocking the GPU. Okay guys, so now that we finally went over the hurdle of BIOS modding your GPU, we hope that you didn't break it or anything. We hope everything is working just fine right now. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to overclock the GPU and give you two different settings. So one for performance, maximum performance, and then the other one for efficiency. So the software that we're going to be using for overclocking will be just AMD Radeon software, the Wattman software that comes with it. You can use MSI Afterburner, but honestly I just recommend using the Wattman. It's pretty good to use with the 5700 XT, and it supports it pretty well. So we're not going to go over through all these different measurements and everything. We're just going to show you what values you need to change, so it's straight to the point. We did here make two profiles, so we're going to load the first profile, which is our recommended one. So we're going to load this one up, and you'll see here it's basically set to 725 undervolt. So we're just going to change this one as well to 725. Sometimes you will need to change it a couple of times until it actually clicks. Sometimes it will change to 726 by itself and stuff like that. Just make sure that you have it set properly. And then the clock, you want to change that to 1300. So these back values don't matter, but if you want to just change them to the same way, then you can. But the main idea is that you have the last values will be the same. So 1300 on frequency, and for the voltage 725. So this is our efficient settings, and then for the max frequency on the VRAM we did 1800. And then the power limit, you don't need to touch that at all. And the fan speed and control, you can just change that based on what you like. So it's basically just when the temperature is this number, how much fan speed you want it to set on. This depends on the temperature of the room. If the room gets too hot, you can just change it around. But basically having the regular curve that they have originally is completely fine as well. So now after you make the changes that are needed for the frequency and the voltage for the core, and then the frequency for the VRAM, you can go ahead and do apply changes. And after you do apply changes, we will go ahead and run the miner. And as for the miner, we are going to be using the Phoenix Miner 5.1C. So we recommend using the Phoenix Miner instead of the Claymore Miner because it is more optimized for this 5700 XT as of now. So before we run this script, we are going to go ahead and walk you through what we have in it. So as you can see here, we just have basically the path of the file. So make sure that you have the full path of the phoenixminer.exe. For you, it's going to be the exact same unless you change the folder name. And of course, you just need to change the username as well. So yours won't be mining chamber, you'll probably have a different username, and then make sure that it's directed to it and have quotation marks at each end. And then you can just add the rest of the information, which is -pool, and you can just put your Ethereum pool here, and the wallet, your Ethereum wallet, the wallet name, and then just have these. So this one is just so that it doesn't log anymore, and mode 1 means to mine Ethereum only. And alt init just basically helps avoid crashing the miner in the beginning. So now after you have the start miner script ready, you can just go ahead and run it as an administrator. And we will go ahead and see how much hash rate we're getting with our efficiency settings. Also, one note is that Phoenix Miner does take time to auto-tune the GPU, so you want to make sure to give it some time before you come to a conclusion of your hash rate. So the first numbers you're seeing now, they're not done tuning yet. So as you can see here in the yellow line, it says the GPUs are auto-tuning, hash rate may be low until they're ready. So just give it some time until it finishes, and then hopefully we should be at 55.47 or 55.8. Okay guys, so as you can see here, the hash rate that we're getting is 55.5, and it seems like it's being stable around that range. We did run these settings before for about 4 hours and nothing crashed, and then we just had to close it so we can try to find the new settings for maximum performance. But we do recommend this as of now for running it for your miners. You're only taking 88 watts per GPU. That's just from the software, so that's not off the wall. Off the wall, you need to also add probably 20 to 30 more watts for the GPU, and then another 30 to 50 watts for the riser. So now we're going to go ahead and close out the Phoenix Miner, and we will start with the maximum performance overclocks. So also for the maximum performance overclock, we have a profile saved. So we'll go ahead and load out the performance file. And of course, you can save your profiles as well for your miner, so it's easier for you to put it on different cards. You can just save them and then load them into different cards. That way it's much easier. So now we loaded the maximum performance. You can go ahead and check here. We did the millivolts at 850 for the voltage. And then the core clock frequency, we did it at 1350, but sometimes it does bug around. So go ahead and do 1350. Apply changes. Okay, so now 1350 for frequency and the voltage 850. And for our VRAM frequency, we did it at 1884. So for these maximum performance settings, Jim helped us from Red Panda Mining server. He helped us navigate through the settings and set up the MPT as well. So we really thank him for doing that, and now we are going to go ahead and run the miner as well and see how much we're getting. Okay guys, so as you can see here, for the maximum performance settings, we are stabilizing around 58 megahash. We were also able to run these settings for 4 hours and nothing crashed and everything was working fine. So now for you to be able to choose between both settings, we're going to go ahead and do the calculation for which one is more efficient. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide the megahash with the watts and then see how much megahash per watt we're getting. So we do know that on the efficient settings, we were able to get 55.5 megahash, and then we were only using about 88 watts on the software. So we'll go ahead and divide it by 88. So we're getting efficiency of 0.63 megahash per second. So now let's go ahead and do it with the new performance settings and see how efficient that one is. So we're getting about 58.1, and then we're going to divide that by 106. So that's how much watts we're currently using for these settings on the software. And we can see here we're getting about 0.54. So the other settings is more efficient. I do recommend running the other settings. Okay guys, so that will wrap up the overclocking for this card. So we gave you two profiles. One, if you have cheap power, then you can run the performance one, but if you do care about efficiency, then I do recommend just running the efficient settings. Again, all these settings will be on our website, miningchamber.com, or you can just copy them from the video. All the links will be in the descriptions below. And if you do have any questions, please let us know in the comment sections below. Okay guys, so as of a conclusion for this GPU, after we saw the hash rates, I do think this GPU is very good for mining as of now. I believe it's one of the top choices to use for mining. It does come at a good price range and you get a lot of hash rate from it, and it's very efficient. I mean, you can buy just the RX 580s, you can buy a couple of those and then you'll have the same performance. But if you do have a limited amount of power, I do recommend getting these cards since they run on really low amount of powers. And you get the double hash rate of an RX 580 for using very similar amount of power. We will soon have a full build video of these GPUs. We just recently got 6 of them and we hope we finish that build very soon, so stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for watching this video. We hope that it helped you in one way or another. We want to thank everyone that helped us in making this video: Hashrate, Red Panda Mining, Crypto Peasant, Jim, and a lot of the mods from Red Panda Mining server. They helped us a lot into getting our way around BIOS modding, since it is the first time that we've modded the 5700 XT, and we really appreciate all the help, and we will leave the links in the description below for Red Panda Mining video and Hashraptor's video covering this GPU. So feel free to check it out, guys. And if you have any questions, please let us know in the comment section below. And then if you also have a request in a specific GPU or a hardware you want us to cover, also let us know in the comment section below, and we will try to get our hands on it and cover it for you as well. So thank you guys again, and we hope you have a wonderful day.